So happy GIS day, about 10 days late, and that's been pretty busy. And so we were doing some stuff in lab today, messing around with Python and GIS. So as you're probably learning in your other courses, you know, Python is used in ArcMap, ArcPro, and it's also used here in QGIS. And so we're working on a little sort of map sheet tool that will tell us the adjacent map sheets, and we're looking for block number changes in that. And so I was going to bring up the real world data set so we can take a look at it in that. And so I have it already over in my ZVAR GST mod 7 data folder. Yes. And I have a little spatial folder that has some shape files in it. And one of them is the NTS source 250K. So it's the 250K series. And so that's a 250K scale map, and it's also broken up. I guess a block is broken up into, you know, a 4x4 grid of 16 maps. So I'm just going to bring this in, and this is sort of the map sheet grid. Stretches as you go north in that because it is in geographic and that. So we're just going to pretend that this grid goes all the way around the globe, east through west, north, and south, and that. I am going to come over to this area, and I'm going to have to switch to the, I think, identify tool, because the pan tool will keep moving on me in that. But right now I don't know what map sheets. The first thing probably do is to label the map. And so I will go in here under properties. Under labels, usually you're on information, just click down on labels. Right now, no labels. I'll make it a single label based on a column. And the column I want to use is this NTS source name. So this is like what we call the 250K tag or name. It's like a little alphanumeric code that tells us what block, what letter we're on. And each of these blocks represents a 250 scale map that they print and produce. I'll just go apply for now and that. And so the way it is, it's a zigzag pattern and that. So I'm just going to move the map slightly over. Maybe this way, yeah, 93. We'll get into the 93 area here, right about here. And now I'm going to flip tools and identify tools. So the way the pattern works here is usually starts on an A and goes to the B, C, D, then goes up, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, then M, N, O, P. So that's all 93, and then the block number will change to 94. In that, and you'll see we're here 93, the block changes to 83, and we're on 93, block changes to 103, and if we go down below, it drops a number in that. So all I want to do here is I want to produce a map to highlight the corner map sheet. So what's a corner map sheet? It means there's two block number changes. Like P is a corner map sheet, and so the one above is a 94, and the one over here is an 83. So we get sort of a double change, right? And well, that's also going to happen on the M, and it's also going to happen on the D, and it's also going to happen on the A. So the thing is, can I somehow highlight that, right? So those corner things. And so the trick would be, well, if I could just get at the last letter, right? The last character in that label, that will give me the letter. And then I can ask a question, well, if you're A, D, right? A, D, M, or P, your corner map sheet, and then somehow, like, okay, if you're in that group, I'll give you a color, and if you're not in that group, I'll give you another color. So that's almost like where you categorize by a field name. Now I don't really have a field name that does that, so I'll just have to calculate one on the fly. And that. So I'm going to go into properties, and that, and under here I'm going to go to symbology. Instead of giving every polygon the same color, I want to give it a different color based on a category. And the problem is, do I have myself in trouble on this? I'm going to have to make a custom function that picks off the last letter, basically, checks to see if it's in that group, A, D, M, P, and that. And so I'll do that, but I'm going to have to go in here with their function editor and make a brand new function. And so they have some default set up, and I'm not sure how big I can make this. I might make this really big so that we can actually see more of the code. So this is sort of their default template. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to mess that up. I'm going to make a new one. and that. So I'll make one. I have to give it a name. I'll call it Happy GIS Day.py. And who doesn't like pie on GS Day, right? I guess I should go in there and spell happy right. That would probably be a really good idea. There. And that's stored somewhere around the system. It's in your user profile, I think, under roaming, QGIS, QGIS3, expressions, and that. So if you're curious, you can email me. I'll tell you the whole path in that. And so it gives me sort of a basic default function ready to go, kind of like a template. And so we see right away, this is like little annotation or decorations on that. We see these, this is a different way of doing imports from QGIS, import everything, and from QGIS GUI and core, import all the tools you might need. Here I can give the function, it's called mySum, and I'm going to call it isCorner. So is this a corner? Corner sheet, I think. So is this a corner sheet? And I'm not really going to send any values in, but notice they go value 1, value 2, and they use an expression. And I think they're trying to hint you that whatever things you want to shoot in as parameters go here. And then they're always going to tack on this feature, which would be the row that you're on. And that, so if you need to get to the geometry or some other attributes. And then the parent, which could probably be the table in that. But I'm not going over all that. We see a little doc string here, which is nice, and a return value. So I'm just going to go in here and first set corner sheet. So this is me just defining a variable, corner sheet equal to false. So I'm going to assume that you are not a corner sheet. I think it has to be capital F. Oh, yes, there it is. Might as well pick it from the list. So I'm going to have a little variable called corner sheet. And if I can't prove something's a corner sheet, then I'll just send false back. And otherwise, I'll detect that it is and switch that to true. I'll change this up here to send back my variable, corner. It'd be great. The IntelliSense is nice, but it's not picking up the variable that I just made in that corner sheet. This might take some testing in that because I'm not too familiar. I'm also going to save that. So that's going to save it down into, actually, there will be a file on disk called happygsday.py in that. It's now going to come up with some test, right? Now, the thing is, how do I get the column name in? Now I could send it in as an argument, but because the feature gets sent in, I'm going to use the feature, and I'm just going to go if, and I go feature, and it has a thing, a property on it called attribute. And if you give it an attribute name, which I'm going to have to go back and grab because it's the name of the column I'm using for the label right now. And so that's going to bring me that like 092G. And then what I got to do is that would be a string. And I'm going to need to slice off the last one. So -1 till the end. That'll get me the last character. And then I'll ask the question, is that in the following list? So I'm just going to set this up first. So is that in this list called A, D, M, or P? And if it is, I need a little colon there because it's Python, and it already knows to indent and stuff like that. Then I'm going to set corner sheet equal to true. So if I lop off that last character of the column name that I've already forgotten, so we'll have to go back and get that, in that, I'm going to, set it to true, and then return the value in that. So we hope that works. I'm going to do a little save here. So it's going to remember that. I'm not sure if, I think I need to close this. I'm just going to quickly go back and say, okay, what did I use for the label? Okay, it's just NTS. So I'll highlight that, copy. And then I'm going to go back to symbology, back into categorize. And here it remembers the function I was working on, which is really nice. And so it's going to go row by row or feature by feature through the table. Call the attribute and say, pull out that label, lop off the last character. Then tell me if it's in this list, A, D, M, or P. And if it is, set corner sheet to true, that it is a corner sheet, send true back, otherwise send false back. Now, save. Will this work? Right? And I called it is corner sheet. Okay, might as well grab that name just in case. And so I'm going to go back here. And so what I want to do is use is corner sheet. Now, will it let me? It should. The expression I want to say is if it's a corner sheet, it's going to return true or false. There should be a little testing the expression down below. Preview, it's always doing a preview. If you had some syntax errors, you'll see an error message down here. So it's previewing the first row. So the first row kind of returns false. So I'm like, okay, that looks good. So I'm just going to go okay on that whole thing and then use a classify. And it's going to do these colors of false gets this green color, which we have. True, I'm going to change maybe to an orange in that. Yeah, I like it, the orange. And if true doesn't, or if false doesn't come back or true doesn't come back, then we'll get this little cyan type color, turquoise, maybe, depending on your screen, and I'll go apply. And there, ooh la la, I think it worked. That was fast. Okay, and so I like that actually. And so I'm going to use the little pan tool just to move around a little bit. So what that has done for the 93 block, right, it's lit up the corner A, D, M, and P. And so it's also going to light up all the ones on that. But it's just lighting up the corner maps. So I can say, okay, those are corner sheets. And so when I hit on one of these, my block number is going to change above or below, depending on what corner I'm at, and also to the side, right? So I'm going to have like a double change on the number. If I'm not on one of these corner sheets, like 93I, well, let's say I'm not on the edge at all. 93J, my block number never changes around me. I'm fine. But if I hit one of these corner ones, it's not that I'm going to have block number change. I'm going to have block number change twice in that. So I think it about wraps it up, shows you a little bit how Python is integrated in QGIS. Again, you can do these same types of things. The same capability I just did now should be available ArcPro and ArcMap because they both have Python in their calculator expressions as well in that. But that's it for now. I hope that helps you maybe out on some project when you get into a little bit of a tricky thing that a regular simple expression can't quite handle. Bye for now.